Well, I put out the second Dead Peasants record. I don't even remember. Was it 2012? Maybe it was called All Hat No Cattle, and we put it out through this label called Side One Dummy. And at the time, we were just sort of brainstorming about creative ways to promote it. And Joe over at our label said, you should start a podcast, and you could use your podcast to let people know that you have this record. So I was like, oh, cool. So then it was like, well, what should my podcast be? Like, there's got to be some concept behind it. And it's funny talking to you guys right now because his initial, Joe over at our label, his initial idea was like, you should do like gear reviews. And there's nothing like that out there. They do like a gear review podcast. And I was like, I don't really know that much about gear. It would be a pretty limited podcast. So then I thought, it'd be great to go interview as many veterans of the Bakersfield sound era as I could get to and interview, and so that was the initial concept, try to sort of capture some of these people's stories. But the problem with that was that there just weren't too many guys left from that era. Most of them are dead. Buck's gone, and Ferlin Husky and Gene Shepard and Del Reeves and a lot of the people that were sort of associated with that sound and that time just aren't with us anymore. So I did talk to Red Simpson, interviewed him, and I talked to Dwight Yoakam, who's not from the Bakersfield sound or even from Bakersfield for that matter, but he's kind of associated with it, and he knew a lot of those folks because when he came up, a lot of those folks were still around, so he got to be good friends with Buck Owens and told me some great stories about Buck. But so that sort of idea ran out pretty quick, but what I discovered was that I loved talking, to other musicians and just picking their brain and seeing what influenced them. And you learn so much from anybody you talk to about music. Everybody's got a different point of view, and it was really it's been an education for me. So from there we just went, well, who else do I know, And then if I don't know them, if it was somebody I liked, I would just email their website, hey man, I'm Chris, I got a podcast, and a few of them, would respond. And so along the way, I've gotten to interview some people that I'm just a huge fan of and have been a big influence on me. Not the least of which was interviewing Merle Haggard the other week, which I just put up the other day. But also guys like Mike Ness, I can't even explain how big of an influence on me musically and just pop culture, Mike Ness and Social Distortion have been. I mean, that's I remember taking, Social Distortion records to my barber and going hey, can you cut my hair? That sort of thing. So yeah, it was just huge to get to talk to people like that. And it's been really, really fun. So as Foo Fighters touring schedule sort of winds down for the year, I really am looking forward to focusing on that a lot next year. He was so cool because I was playing a Dead Peasants gig at a bar, and we played the set, and when we were done, this dude walks up in a baseball cap, and he goes hey man, I liked your guys' set, and I'm like, wow, that's Brad Paisley. What? I didn't know he was there, and I was so happy I didn't know he was there while we were playing because I would have been thinking about it the whole time. So he was so cool, and he's just that guy's a monster guitar player, and he has a great story. I mean, he was like a child prodigy. He talked about paying your dues. That guy really paid his dues and learned his craft. So then, fast forward to I started bugging him to see if I could interview him, and it just worked out that we were playing another Dead Peasants gig, and he was going to be in town when that happened, and let me interview him, and he was so gracious with his time and just hung out and did it. And then he was like, hey man, if you want me to get up and play a song with you guys, let me know. And so I was like, great. I go, cool man, I'll bring the set list over, and and he goes, it's cool man, I know all your songs. I was like, really? Because we're doing all covers, so it's all Waylon Jennings and Buck Owens and Merle and stuff like that. He was just like, oh yeah, no, I know those songs, man. Just let me know what you want me to do. So, all right, great, wow. I listen to a lot of podcasts. It's what do I listen to? I listen to Marc Maron, you know, the WTF. That's probably the one I listen to the most. He's great. I love his interviews. He gets great guests. You know, when I first started mine, I didn't know even how, like, what the format should be. And I just kind of copied his. You know, I just went, oh, I'll just have a little spiel at the beginning. I'll do the interview, then I'll do a little, you know, wrap up at the end. So I mean, that's pretty much what mine is. His template is like what mine is based off of. I have a little M Audio 2-channel digital interface thing. I forget what it's called. And it's great, you know. The thing takes a beating. I throw it in my suitcase everywhere I go, just to, you know, in case I run into somebody that I can interview. And I have a couple little mics. I think they're Blue, maybe is the brand name, and a couple little powered mics. And I have these little like desk mic stands. When I interviewed Merle, we were on his bus. It was Bakersfield. It was 111 degrees out. I mean, it was crazy that day up there. And so we were on his bus, and the air conditioning was going. And there was, you know, it's a bus, so there's nowhere to set your microphone. So I kind of had to just like set it over here and point it at him and hope, and he's like this far off the mic. And so the sound quality for that interview was not very good. And that's what really got me thinking, like, now that I'm doing more and more of this, I gotta step it up, get some real gear here. When something goes really wrong, I just call like Lou, that is our house engineer at 606, or maybe I'll ask like James Brown, who has done the last couple of Foo Fighter records, you know, just ask them questions. Because like I was telling you earlier, I interviewed my friend Eddie from the Mavericks and forgot to turn the phantom power on, and the whole thing was unusable and just had a high-pitched squeal. And that was while we were making the last Foo Fighter record. So I went in the next day and I was like, hey, James, is there anything I can do about this? And I explained it to him, and he was just like, nope, you blew it.